to call this meeting to order. Regular board meeting, Monday, December 15th, 2025. Can I get a roll call?
Yes, you can. President Sterling.
Here.
Vice President Thompson.
Here.
Board Member McKnight.
Here.
Board Member McKinney.
Here.
Board Member Carlson.
Here.
Board Member Johnson.
Here.
Secretary Meeks. Here.
Pam Cook, Recording Secretary.
Terrell Yarborough, Superintendent.
Shelley Wagner, Human Resources.
Michelle Erb, Curriculum and Instruction.
Jason Bloom, Communications and Community Relations.
Josh Ram, Business and Operations.
Well, good evening. It is my pleasure this evening to invite some special guests up for our Pledge of Allegiance and a few extra little special treats for us. So, if you guys would come on. So this evening, we have our third grade students from our Friday Nights program at McChesney Elementary here to lead us in the pledge and to do a few songs for us. Kind of had to laugh because they were questioning why they're facing the wrong way. But we will make sure that when we get to the point where they actually sing a few songs for us, that we will face towards you all. But they're going to start us off in our pledge this evening. I'm going to turn it over to Miss Edwards because we're going to do some quick introductions, and then they will lead us in our pledge.
Okay, so again, this is our third grade fine arts class. We have the majority of the class here. We're going to start at the beginning of our line and work through.
Scarlett, Mila, Kaliana, Eileen, Riley, Macy, Willow, Gabby, Samantha, Kendall, Josephine, Aurora, Elizabeth, Kate, Cameron, Gracelyn, Murray.
Nice job. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to face the flag, and we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Are we ready? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So now I'm going to invite admin and board members to take a step down so that you can have a view of our singers. Now our students are going to turn and face the audience. Yep, so you're going to follow this way, come this way. Yep. Yep, go around behind. Perfect. Front row, stay right where you're at, okay? Front row, stay right where you're at. And now it's my pleasure to turn this over to Ms. Nelson, who is going to lead them this evening.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you for having us, first of all. We are excited to sing tonight. We at McChesney, we have our very own school song. So we're going to start by singing that, and then we're going to sing one more song after that called Snowman, Where'd You Go? Except the snowmen are still around right now. We'd like them maybe to go, but we'll sing the song, Snowman, Where'd You Go? All right, here's our McChesney school song.
There's a school that we all know.
Nice job, third graders. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Nelson. What a fantastic job. Before you go anywhere, though, we have to get a photo. So I'm going to invite our board members back up. This is common tradition that we always get our photo, but that was one of the best ways of starting this board meeting. Nice job. And I don't think the snowman's leaving anytime soon, so, which is okay with me, right?
Did he get treats?
Yeah.
Did he get candy?
Apparently I was supposed to bring treats and candy, but I didn't get the memo.
Like a pack of sardines.
Thank you, guys. That was amazing. Can I get a motion to approve of the agenda?
Vice President Thompson. Aye. Board Member McKnight.
Aye.
Board Member McKinney. Aye. Board Member Carlson.
Yes.
Board Member Johnson.
Aye.
Secretary Meeks. Aye. President Sterling.
Aye. All right, turn it over to Dr. Yarbrough.
All right, thank you. I want to say thank you again to our McChesney pilots, because that was an awesome song. So, the mission of the Harlem Consolidated School District as a vital part of the community is to help diverse learners realize their unlimited potential by providing an educational program dedicated to academic excellence and the development of a strong character in a safe and respectful learning environment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to approve the board meeting minutes from November 17th, 2025?
Board Member McKnight.
Yes.
Board Member McKinney. Aye. Board Member Carlson.
Yes.
Board Member Johnson.
Aye.
Secretary Meeks. Aye. President Sterling.
Aye.
Vice President Thompson.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming. At this time, I just wanted to make a statement, a little bit of what we've heard over the last 2 months, just to go over some things that I feel is important to get out while we go through the decision process and go forward. Originally in 2019, the district had done studies. Jason, you were doing this at this time. I know Josh was there, and so was Mickey. That 2019, 2020, there was a thing to come out with CTE building. Okay, thank you. The CTE building moved 6th grade up, closed a school due to enrollments. At that time, it did not pass. I know the board was hoping that over the next couple of years, we could get families to move back in to this area. And over those timelines, you've seen that students are still not coming into Harlem. Now, when we look through our neighborhoods, they're full. There's no large subdivision that is empty. So as this has gone through, I'm just going through, so 2019 to 2026, which is going to be for the next school year. we've had a decrease in student enrollment. So through those years, we've had surpluses, and I know we had comments stand up and people ask what we did with the money. Did we overspend? Did we act foolishly? We haven't. Our audits have came back good. We've been commended multiple times. We had our newest audit who came at the last meeting at the COTW, which will be presented tonight. Even in there, they stated that we are a district that is living within its means. So where's that money? Well, it's around 19.5 million in the rainy day fund, they would call it. Is that correct? In the ed fund? Yes. 18.6 at this time, but it's still, yeah, thanks, Josh. But that's because we have a person like Josh who treats pennies like manhole covers. So that comment right there is where the superintendent saying that we're not broke and we're not in a bad financial situation. We're not. But when you project multiple years of deficits, couple that with the lack of enrollment, we can't keep kicking the can from 2019 to now, that we have to have this discussion of the schools closing. If we close the two schools, any two schools, and we put students back to 300 to 350, which is what the utilization rate should be roughly, correct? All right. That means the two schools that are empty, we are approximately missing 600 to 700 students for them to be properly reopened and utilized. That is an average of two kids per house, 300 homes. We have a housing crisis. We have a lack of student crisis in this area. Now, at the same time, throughout our region, you're hearing Rockford Lutheran consolidate. You're hearing Boylan talk about moving their middle schools to the high school because they don't have students. It's not just Harlem, but Harlem's been very open about it. In March of this year, before a contract was signed, we made statements saying if a contract is signed at what was being presented, that we would have to start making some tough decisions. We can't project a budget until the contracts get signed because they are signed for 3 years, and that got signed in August. And as soon as that happened, this board looked over to our superintendent and admin team and asked them to start doing the hard things, because we have run this district correctly and we want to keep running this district correctly. So now it's the time, and this is a big ship. I have two personal businesses out in the community, and when I want to make a change, I can. This ship doesn't steer like that. We have contracts, we have unions we have to work with, and I also had the conversation with people, and they said, well, why do this first? Why don't you talk about lowering admin, reducing admin? Maybe look at certain positions in the district and talk about reducing those. We will, but this is the hard one. This is the one that affects the most people, takes the longest to do. So we had to start this early because we have to hear from our community. Changes that might be made might happen or whatnot, but you do the hard things first, because to go back and talk about admin pay or certain positions in the district, that could happen over 2 meetings. We will ask justification and then have discussion about it and can be done. But this one takes a whole community ask. So when hearing from the community and saying like, why are we doing this and why are we doing it now? Well, when you project multiple years of deficits, if we don't do anything, and we don't have enough students in each building to properly run them at an efficient rate for the taxpayer, it doesn't equate. We can't keep kicking the can. That's why it's now to have this talk so that we can better utilize these buildings and we can be ready for the future. In 3 years, we're going back into another contract. You can't run 3 years deficits and then go back into another contract and expect good things to come out of it. So it's trying to do all these things, and we can weather the storm. We can get through it, but it's to have these talks now so that we can be set up for the long run, for the future. And when some buildings and some classes have 15 students for a teacher, that's great for that student, that's great for that class. But other students are in full classes, and the taxpayer is paying the same amount for both. Like, that doesn't equate. That's not equitable for everyone. So that's why we're having these conversations now. That's why we're having these talks, and I'm thankful that we have such a great community that comes out and supports and comes out because the kids matter. I mean, I had a whole bunch of people come up and tell me that I need to take a pay cut, and we do this for free. Like, this is not a paying job, and I'm just trying to help. This board's just trying to help. So in the long run, we need to hear from our community that we also live in. So I just want to say thank everybody for all the comments that's come out. It's really helped. The decision's not done. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my board and have you guys make some statements, or just go ahead. Go ahead, Aaron.
All right, okay. So I kind of did some research. I mean, this was even before the teacher's contract, looking into things. And like Mike said, or President Sterling said, this isn't a spending problem, it's a population issue. So I went in and, called the county tax assessor's office and said, hey, what percent of the homes, the individually owned homes in the Harlem School District are receiving a senior exemption? It's over 50%, almost 60%. So what does that tell us? People love this community so much, they're not moving, that those people are also paying less in tax dollars. That's something that, once again, a lot of people move out to warmer climates as they age. People are not leaving this area. Another thing is Mike or President Sterling kind of touched on it. We had in the Harlem School District last year, we had $1.1 million of new construction. I don't know if anybody's looked at what lumber costs, roofing, siding. That's like 4 to 5 houses is all that's been built new in our district in the last year. The year before that, I don't even think it touched 100,000. I think it was closer to like I don't think it even touched $1 million. I think it was closer to 800,000. So it's not a spending problem. It's a population. I wouldn't call it a problem, but it's a kind of an anomaly that obviously we saw coming, but it's finally hit. As far as the scenarios, I talked to Dr. Terrell or Dr. Yarborough. I'm hard with titles. We're on a first name basis here, and I'm trying to be. I talked with him about what I want to ask the admin team to do, and I told you at the last meetings that we're hearing you. I would like to see a plan come back with neighborhood schools and whether we run a K through 5 model in there, whether we run a 1st through 5th model in there. Bring something back. This is what our community wants, and this is what I feel that we should try to come up with. So, and a lot of people don't know how this works. So the admin team we give them kind of a suggestion. They come up with the numbers, and the board shoots holes through it, or the community shoots holes through it, for lack of a better term. And we make the board makes the final decision based off of the recommendations from the people that are looking at the budgets, looking at the students, looking at the buildings every single day. These are our experts that we're using. Also, the community, you're our experts. There were so many scenarios with families and stuff that I heard, I think the rest of the board heard, that we could not even fathom. I didn't realize how many families we had with more than the nuclear family of 2 children. I didn't realize we had so many families, large families in our district. I didn't realize that, and the impact of, the banding of the schools and stuff. I heard you. So no surprise to Dr. Yarbrough and team, but I'm looking to bring something closer to the neighborhood schools. Are buildings going to need to close? Yeah, I mean, when we're short 600 to 700 students that would fill our buildings to a 80% occupancy, it's
70.
a tough choice.
That's 70.
That's at a 70% occupancy if we added 600 students to our district. So yes, now as things change, the people with the senior exemptions, leave or what have you, and we got young families coming in, that's going to be another board's decision on what to do there. So I just want to say, I heard you. I've had conversations with a lot of the board members. We're looking to go in that a little bit. I personally want to see a proposal come up with going in that direction of neighborhood schools and like whether it be a K through 5, whether it be a 1st through 5th, keep it similar to the way that it is, but different. So with that being said, I yield my time.
I did want to mention another thing. It threw me off, and I'm sorry that it did. There was a comment made that we gave a 50 or 60% pay raise. It threw me off. This would have to be when Dr. Yarbrough went from principal to superintendent. That is the only way that percentage would work. And if someone didn't understand the difference between a high school principal and a LUDA superintendent pay, that's the difference. You're talking about that amount. Now, when I'm asking about that, Dr. Shelley Wagner, you're the HR person. Can you touch on what our admin or even our superintendent and what our teachers make compared to the surrounding area? I mean, we have to compete, but where do we normally stand?
Generally, we're right around in the center, with some of the categories trending a little bit lower than the area pay rate and LUDA pay rate, and some slightly higher, but generally right in the
Generally right in the
center,
middle.
with the exception of the superintendent, who is at the bottom.
Our superintendent's one of the lowest in the area.
Yes.
And also, somebody was talking about the pay increases. We also had another member of the admin team that got a PhD in education. I think that deserves a raise. I mean, to take that, I truly believe that is a pretty big incremental pay increase for getting your PhD in education to help lead this district. So that was another anomaly that I think was spoken on that I don't think enough people looked into the reason why.
Okay. No, I just wanted to put that out there.
And I put that out there.
All right. Kurt, you got anything?
Yeah, great words that have been said so far, covering a lot of the reasons. I remember the first time I saw the scenarios, all of them that were there, and was like, these are interesting. Let's see where the blind spots are. There's only so much that you guys can see and we can see as a board. And oh boy, there were some blind spots. They were called out, and I appreciate that. And I have a list as well that I'm looking towards getting answers so we have the right steps to move forward, right? So hearing no arts on carts is stuck with me. Seeing the great work that we've got with our fine art kiddos up here, making sure they get the right education and getting the feedback and comments from right here via email, those stick there. And there's quite a few of them. I won't go through all of them, but making sure our administration has those items. So we task them to do this again, we get the right results, right? We're still up against a time crunch. You said we've got the money that's here, but if we don't get the right steps in place shortly, then we don't give our teachers, our parents, our community the time to get everything in place, our buildings in place, which means we miss another year, which we have to be ready for the costs that come with it, with not taking action. But it's a big step, so we've got to make sure those are done right. So, If it's families, neighborhood schools, bringing the K back in, I think we need to look at that. I've had some interesting feedback of having sister schools where it would be instead of, every 2 years, you split it kind of like a Marquette to McChesney right now. We've done that for quite a while. You get more students in, which lessens the burden of going to a middle school where everyone's kind of coming together and all the actions from meeting new students coming through there. It lessens that on a greater scale. Does that make sense? I don't know. There's probably blind spots to it. Does that help at all? I don't know. That's why we've got our great admin team to look into some of these things. So I have a large list of all of the feedback, everything that I've seen, to see what we can do, what we can tweak to make sure we've got the best plan. Because I also heard, you guys you're just up there, you're just listening to us because it's the law. We have no choice, and you're going to rubber stamp it. And that hurts a little bit, right? Like, you get it, that's what we're here for. But we want to listen to everything. Most of us, let me phrase this here so I don't ramble. Sorry, guys. We have all been touched or impacted by Harlem through our lives for so many different reasons. A lot of us either have had our children in this district or have our children in this district currently. So that's why we're here. That's why we're volunteering our time. We went through all the craziness of elections to make sure our community is on the right track. And so we're looking through the different ideas, starting to ramble again to make sure it's set, correct, and I look forward to hearing the corrections that are made and the additional feedback. The forums are still open. The email's still there. You can reach out to any one of us right now and keep doing so. If there's something that you see or hear or you want clarification on it, we're trying to make ourselves as open as possible. I think most nights it's from a meeting, and then I try to make myself accessible for a few hours afterwards. Just answer it. This is confusing, important stuff. I'll turn it back. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Sterling. I do have a few words. I think what Board Member Thompson said is a good plan. The sister cities that would still give us an option like we were talking about. We did receive a very nice email from someone that put a very nice plan out there. And I think that would be something that we are looking into because it would be a variation and might be helpful to us. I do believe that, when everyone was up here, they're like, there's nobody that spoke, in favor of option 7, but that's not true. I heard from a lot of people that were in favor of it, but they didn't want to come up and talk because of the clapping and the cheering. They were intimidated. But they would talk to me when I was out in businesses doing shopping. They'd call me on the phone. So there are people out there that are in support of it, and there's people that aren't, and that's a good thing. That's what it's all about, to get the feedback from the community. But I think we also need to realize that we have stakeholders, and you're right. Stakeholders are the parents and the children, but it's also the taxpayers. And not just the seniors. There's people out there barely making ends meet, and they can't afford to have their property taxes go up and up and up, so we're trying to find a way not to have that happen in the future. So that's what we're looking at too. So we need to remember there are stakeholders that, besides being parents and things, there's taxpayers, and they're worried. I mean, everybody's worried the way the economy is right now, and with inflation, trying to make their budgets at home, just like we're trying to do here. So I think we have to be mindful of that. My suggestion was, if we tried to do this sister city thing, as Kurt called it, which I think is a good plan, do north, south, east, west, so that it's not so far, or even in the middle, a third one, not so far for the people to travel. But also, maybe give it, say that we'll review it before the teacher's contract comes up, or whatever contract, pick a year. But we will review it in 4 years, because we can't say it's going to work, but you can't say it's not going to work. So that might be a good option, is to give it a try, and then we review it and see if we're going along and saving money and doing like we thought it was going to work for us. Because sometimes we just gotta try things and see and work together. I know we're a positive community. We are Harlem, as we keep saying. We can work through this, and we can do it with a positive attitude on both sides. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just said a couple things. I appreciated all the people that came out. I thought that was amazing. I've had some great conversations with community members as well. And I know they had talked about starting anew in January with some more information and putting together a new scenario and seeing what else we can come up with. And I personally would like to be on that committee, team, scenario, if it's possible. And so I would like to possibly be approved to be, I know we had volunteers from the board in different situations where we had the medical clinic and we had other things, but it would be nice to be on a committee and to have possibly another board member or two and sit in and listen to what's going on and be an only stakeholder as well, because my children are gone. And so it's, to me, it's the kids and the taxpayers. I know our teachers are important and our schools are important, but I think our number one is our students, and our taxpayers want the best for our students as well. So we want to see them in a good place and in good directions. And I personally can't do the bands because I've had too many people tell me I can't get my kids to school. There's no way I can get my kids to school. So I would like to see something new, and I would like to be on that team if possible. So.
She's asking if we would like to create a committee. I don't know that the committee works in this instance, and the only reason why I say that is two board members on a committee trying to go over options that they're going to then present to the rest of the board. Because you're only 2 votes. So we couldn't put 3 on there because then it would be a quorum.
Right.
So I don't know if 2 would work. So I mean, at this time, while she's asking for that, would you guys entertain a committee for board members?
Well,
I like where she's coming, I like where you're coming from. I would just call out, as the board, it is our duty to task the administration with a goal. They bring back their findings, and then we
Shoot
can
holes.
modify it, approve it, or shoot it down, right? So that's, again, I'm the same way, I get my hands dirty with things, but in this case, I don't know if that works, and also the expedience of the time crunch, right? Like, if we miss this and we go another year, we're talking.
Oh, no, I'm not talking go another year. My thought is there's already a team that has come up with these scenarios that are already there.
Correct.
And there will be a new meeting, from what I understand, with a possible new scenarios that will come together out of this until we vote again on it in January or have more hearings in January. And I would like to be in on some of those meetings, even to put in, information or to get information and to just kind of be ears on the team, kind of like we did with the medical clinic, where no, we don't have anything to really vote on as a scenario, but to at least have that personal and get in on it from this side of the team.
I think that's when you give admin team what you want. That's
Correct.
that's what the email that we all received today was, hey, tell us what we want.
Right. It would just be, it'd be
being
nice
a part
to
of
be in
that
on the
email.
discussion is all it'd be helpful to be in the discussion, just to listen and learn and
I think
do
too
the
many
different
hands
things
in
that
this
go with
one
it.
is.
So, I mean, if it's not possible, it's not
I can
possible.
get behind, maybe there's the middle ground, and with that would be just, more frequent updates, right? Like, we're getting updates currently
Possibly, yeah.
from Dr. Yarborough about all manners of things. Just with this, as we go into it, now that we know the general groundwork, just go, hey, we looked into this, and A, B, and C are not looking strong, or whatever that directly looks like, where we can then collectively still get that without having a quorum, without anything that's voting, and still getting those updates, and,
That would be
being
beneficial, yeah.
Well, do we even know who is all on the team that is deciding these scenarios? Just these 5?
Well, no, we're deciding it. They're
Yes,
giving
no,
us
no, I mean,
recommendations.
who's coming up with the scenarios is what I'm, because I.
We just gave them, we just said we just said this is what we're looking for. So if there's something that you're
I'm
looking
talking
for,
about the original
put it out there.
7, it's okay.
Mr. President, can I
Yes,
jump in?
yes.
Sure. So we do have a team, as you mentioned, everybody that's sitting at this table. We include our other directors as well. So obviously Don West in Transportation, Ana Luisa, you heard from our special ed folks last week. So we have a pretty good team. I would maybe add into, if it's appropriate, the conversation that, really like the amount of work that a core of that team is doing is pretty, it's hours a day. And especially if we're looking at a new plan versus just tweaks, like that takes a lot of time for our team, especially, for Mickey, Shelley, and Josh to really cost out to all the pay or all of the personnel stuff. And so, obviously we're going to do whatever the board is telling us to do, but just so you're aware that the amount of time that's spent on this is pretty extensive. And so I think I just want to make you guys aware that it would be hours each day that we spend on this. So But we do have a pretty robust team across the admin that work on this within different components of it.
Well, I appreciate knowing some of the other names, so that does help. But yeah, if we can get even more updates would be wonderful, just maybe daily, maybe every other day, maybe it would be great to have just constant updates of this is what she thinks and he thinks and they think and where do we go from there, so that'd be helpful.
Something that's hard though too,
I'm
because, I
sure.
mean, as a project manager, like, there's things where I'm really excited, I can't wait to say this, and then something changes one day to the next, and it changes the whole approach, you don't have all the information.
Yep.
You're like, how do I present this without, you're trying to work through your own biases, so, I mean, what that frequency is, fine, but like, on-demand updates is
course
difficult,
not.
dangerous, and again, it adds time, cost, or both.
I think it could be included in
just
our weekly board
suggestions.
memo.
Yeah,
I mean,
Correct, but that's also why it's very important when that question gets presented through that email for you to respond as soon as possible so that they understand which direction to go.
And I think that's where, for us, what I'm hearing and you're naming things as board members, like that's crucial for us, that, clearly articulating what are those pinch points for you? What are your, I mean, we're all hearing the same stuff, but as board, as decision makers, like really knowing exactly what it is that you're looking for and clearly articulating that to us is really the biggest help for us as a team, for us to understand how to proceed and what things you're looking at. And so the more that you clearly articulate that back to us, the easier it will be, right, for us to.
Correct, and I reached out to Josh about a thought about moving EC into elementaries, and then there was a comment that we would most likely have to lose the grant if we did that. Is that correct?
Because of the playgrounds and different rules, that would be
Okay.
tricky. You'd be able to talk a little bit about the specifics of that.
So there are specific early childhood requirements. I would say that at first, as long as we're working on getting the playground and everything, I don't know that we would necessarily lose the grant. The big thing that we would want to make sure is that prior to any type of audit, we would have things in place. Unfortunately, this was supposed to be our audit year, and it got kicked down the road. So probably next year will be our audit year. And that's where we do want to keep our goals standard, gold circle standard, where our teachers have worked really, really hard to get to that point. And the playground is one of those things, and making sure the latch is 4 foot high. I mean, if everybody knew all the specific requirements of the grant, I think they'd be surprised.
No, I get you. That's why, I mean, you don't know what you don't know until you ask, so that's why I was just wondering. I know it would have saved on transportation because we were going that way anyways, and all those kind of things. Especially it wouldn't have been a double ding like they're treating it now, which you didn't really understand, and a lot of people don't, is that the state treats EC like it's
Non-claimable.
non-claimable miles, so it hurts us in the long run. They treat it like it's daycare, but they want you to have it at school. And then they take it out of our transportation fund. When you said it was almost $700,000?
It was in the sixes.
6 is close. Oh,
Yeah.
always with the correct numbers. All right, let's turn it over to any other board members. Evelyn, Rebecca, you already spoke.
I'm fine. Excuse me. I just want to thank everyone that came out last week and those of you that are here tonight. One thing that I know that I want is for our students to be able to be safe and get a good education. And I'm going to do the best I can to make sure that all of our students in this district are going to be able to get the good education that they need and be safe and travel. But trust me, we're doing the best we can. And I know it's hard, and it's hard for people to understand the things that we're trying to do. But when you say that we're being paid, I became a board member because I love this district. My kids all graduated, grew up in this district. I have grandkids and nieces and nephews and cousins in this district. This is a good district, and I want to continue to make sure that our district is still at the top. And to let everyone know that we do care, although it may not, sometimes when the things happen, it might not seem like we do care, but trust me, we do care, and we're going to do the best we can to make sure that we can keep this district moving smoothly. And sometimes change is good and sometimes it's bad, but we want to make sure we can continue and do what we can to, so all of our parents, students, especially our students, everybody in this district can have a good outcome. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to say something.
Yeah,
I came to this board and was elected because I feel that I have had experience in the schools, 34 years of it. I've gone as a special education teacher to regular ed, back to special education. I understand where the teachers are coming from. I really, truly do, because special ed is really important. The language, the OLA program is very important. There's so much that's important to everybody in this community, and it is difficult. I went through a lot of changes as a teacher, okay? Went on a lot of strikes, a lot of movement. I had I had 3 carts that I went around from one building to another. It wasn't easy, and life is not easy, okay? We know that. But I'm here to help everybody make a good conscience decision. And I looked at these scenarios, and it's really hard to give up your neighborhood school. I went to a neighborhood school here. I taught in neighborhood schools. Those schools become your own when you're a teacher in that building. You become close to everybody as much as you can be. You talk to parents. I understand that. It breaks my heart that we have to do this, but we have to do something financially. I'm thrilled that you guys got a raise. I rooted for that. I wanted you guys to have that because, once again, that's real difficult too, to not be respected or not feel like you're compensated for all the hard work that you do. But in the community also, people are worried, once again, like Mrs. Johnson said, that they're really worried about losing their homes if they can't pay for their taxes and things like that. We have to come up with something, okay, with some agreements. I was 4-7. I was, it's not like what I wanted to do, but I knew that would help the deficit 100%. And I'm thinking, okay, that's good, then we can start a little bit better and have a little bit more money. But then I looked at the other ones too and thinking, after I heard everybody speak and everybody's torn, that I'm sending it back to our administrators because they have done a really good job so far, putting out and trusting all these scenarios and saying, what does the community want? What does the board want? What do we need in this district to help support everybody? So I'm bringing it back to them to give us some ideas. Once again, we're sending them information. We're listening to you guys. There was things that I heard the last 2 or 3 nights when we had those meetings that I didn't think about, even as a special ed person, even as a language person, when you hear all the things that they have done to build their programs. So I'm hoping you'll bear with us. I'm hoping that we will be able to go back, go to the drawing board, get some information, do what we need to do. And if we have to come up with number 7, great. If we have to do with 1, we have to do 2, whatever we need to do. We're going to try hard to get as much as we can, giving them suggestions and letting you guys know what's out there. So bear with us. We are supporting you. At least I know I'm supporting you. I know these people are supporting you. So give us more information if you need to. That's what I feel, that we can take that and then move it further and do whatever we can to make it best. Thank you.
When's the next meeting?
So it's, what is that, January 20th? 20th of January.
Yeah.
Can we, I'd like a consensus from the board to, is it January 5th when we come back and there's a SIP day? Yeah, but I would like to request, or we can make a board meeting for January 5th at 5 p.m. at HAC.
And what's the purpose? Like, what do you?
That's where, so we have from now until January 5th, you have timeframes to discuss. Because if we go through the next 2 weeks, or roughly, right? But
It's really only this week.
Yeah, it's really only this week because you got the holidays. So it's really only this week. And so we're going to need more time than January 5th.
All right. What's your ask then?
Yeah.
What time, are you saying that you'll present on the January 17th? Or the 12th?
What you got, Josh?
So the 14th is cow. Could we incorporate into that somehow?
So we can, yeah.
We can, or we can call a meeting. We have enough time to call a meeting now.
So let's do it around that time, because then that gives us some time to
Gives you more.
obviously hear everyone's thoughts, because you're going to share with us. Our community is going to continue to give us feedback.
But you guys did most of the hard work. It's now
Yeah.
just
I think it's
figuring
bits and
out if
pieces
it's.
of all of them.
But we
in
got
all
to
reality,
pull it
I
all
think
together.
I think
I
it's
get
very
it.
modular.
Yeah. If we didn't have the holiday break right now in this, then we could, but we have to be able to pull this together.
Okay.
Can we do it Thursday after the COTW, or do you need to do it on a Monday?
No, first, the plan would just need to be presented and articulated of any school closures.
Right.
So that'll go out, and then it will go 10 days for community involvement. It takes 10 days, 3 meetings, and then we'll go to the meeting. So whatever needs to be presented needs to be that time, because we're running out of spring.
Yeah. Do we want to give a date too for, like, I know we're all kind of submitting questions and things like that, but for board members to give administration by midweek, end of week, something of like, these are, there's going to be small items, but these are my big sticking points, right? Like, maybe you guys have already been doing this, but
think
I
that
was
was
like,
kind of the
here are my
conversation.
kind of general questions, but put a time limit on it, just so that you guys have got time to think about it over winter break, and it's not going, okay, I figured this out, and then one of us, as soon as you get back, hits you with 12 more questions that derails the rest, kind of putting that time frame on initial
Is
questions.
the end of Wednesday feasible, a couple days? Because then that's only 2 days to break after that.
Yeah, that's fine. And we don't need answers, I just want to make sure that at least our big ones are at least submitted.
Submitted, yeah.
We can do that.
Okay.
Perfect. Because that way, it's like, I didn't get an answer, but it was, 2 days before, we're trying to give our recommendations.
probably just
We
gonna
can't do that to you guys anyways.
I'm just gonna set up a meeting, let you type, I'll talk. I'm just,
Okay.
So we'll give an update. What is-
The next meeting,
There's a COTW.
the next official on the calendar meeting would be the Committee of the Whole, which is January 12th? 14th. And then was it the 17th?
The 20th.
The 20th. The January 20th is a regular scheduled board meeting.
there could be a meeting in between.
I would have had that if I don't have my phone.
Yeah.
Feel weird. All right, we good?
We can always, with 3 days notice, call special.
Good?
Yep.
All right. Now we get to do the approval of the bills.
Comments from the community?
There are 0 comments from the community at the moment.
All right.
Well,
You ready for me?
I am.
All right.
enough comments for me.
The total payables this period were $3,751,316.99. There were void checks of $156,450.25. Most of that was due to a remit that was wrong on a check, so we had to void and reissue a check. There was one payroll this period in the amount of $3,610,909.16 for total expenditures of $7,362,226.15. Split out by fund, the education fund paid $3,972,142.38. The tort fund paid $122,855.75. The operations and maintenance fund paid $458,693.50. The debt service fund paid $2,434,025 even. The transportation fund paid $248,823.27. And the IMRF Social Security Fund paid $123,936.25. There were life safety expenditures of $1,750. Again, for total expenditures of $7,362,226.15. Are there any unanswered bill questions? That is it for the vote.
Did you put in the 1 million?
I did want to make a note on there, thank you, that on the bond payment, it lists the bond payments and then it totals, it misses 1 on the million just because it lobs it off. So the full amount was the 2.4 million, but there is a 1 missing on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Bouchard?
Thank you.
Oh, yes. Throw me off. Okay, a motion to approve the bills.
Motion.
Second?
Board Member McKinney.
Aye.
Board Member Carlson.
Yes?
Board Member Johnson.
Aye.
Secretary Meeks. Aye. President Sterling.
Aye.
Vice President Thompson.
Aye.
Board Member McKnight.
Aye. Dr. Schiller?
Thank you. I have 4 overnight travels. One of them is at your seat because it was just recently uploaded because we had a middle school cheer who qualified for a competition. And in case you didn't get to see it as part of board books, I wanted it at your seat. The first overnight travel is for the boys basketball team to the State Farm Tournament, which is December 26th through the 30th in Normal, Illinois. They've gone for the past few years. The second one is the middle school cheer that I just shared. They qualify for the ICCA competition in Springfield. They will be leaving on January 10th and returning on the 11th. The third was also something that our students qualified for. That is the ILMEA All-State. That is in Peoria. The students will leave on January 28th and return on the 31st. And the final one is baseball. It is Play the Turf in South Jacksonville. The team will leave on March 27th and return on the 28th. That ends my report.
Thank you. Josh Rand.
Thank you. My first item this evening, approve resolution declaring surplus property at Harlem Middle School and Parker Center. For 10B2 is a recommendation to accept the FY25 audit by Sikich. And just to highlight that Lindsay Fish from Sikich came to our committee of the whole last Wednesday and hit the highlights of that audit. The audit and the financial report are attached to this meeting, and upon acceptance, we will upload them to the website tomorrow. So I'd like to thank Sikich for all their work on this audit. Are there any remaining questions on that? Okay. If at any time anyone has questions, obviously, please feel free just to reach out. My next item is a recommendation to accept the October Treasurers Report. And just like the audit, we reviewed the highlights of that Treasurers Report at Committee of the Whole last Wednesday. Are there any open questions on the Treasurers Report?
No.
10B4 is a recommendation to approve a report on cash balance in relation to average expenditures. This is the first time that this is a new requirement in the code, and so this is the first time that we've done that. And this report compares cash balance to make sure it's not 2.5 times what the annual expenditures are. Ours is not above the 2.5 times expenditures, so there's no further action we have to take, but the board does need to approve that report this evening. Are there any questions on that report? Okay. Next is a recommendation to approve an agreement with Lighthouse Speech Therapy to provide speech and language services at a cost of $115 per hour at 37.5 hours per week, not to exceed 13 weeks, for a total cost of $56,062.50, paid with IDEA flow-through Part B funds. And there is a memo from Director of Student Support Services, Heidi Lang, attached with reasoning for that recommendation. Are there any questions on the Lighthouse agreement? Okay. Next is 10B6, which is a recommendation to approve an agreement with PD Monster to provide professional development on January 5th, 2026 for School Improvement Day and February 13th, 2026 for Teacher Institute Day at a cost of $6,300 paid with IDEA flow through Part B funds. And there's also another memo from Director Lang regarding that PD. Any questions on that? Okay, and my final item, 10B7, is a recommendation to approve an agreement with the Regional Office of Education, or the ROE, for professional development workshops for teachers and administrators on Teacher Institute Day, February 13th, 2026, at a cost of $12,300, paid with Title II funds. Are there any questions on that? That is my report this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Shirley Wagner.
President Sterling, this evening I have the recommendation to approve the personnel agenda. There is no addendum. We have 5 employments this evening. I'd like you to note that the full-time substitute employment is a terminal position. It will end at the end of the school year. It's not a continual position. We have 6 transfers and 6 resignations. It's a short one, and that ends my report.
Thank you so much. Dr. Troy Yarborough.
All right, thank you, President Sterling. I have 3 Freedom of Information Acts here to read. The first one was dated November 19th of 2025 and was submitted by Olivia Karstens, requesting all the documents pertaining to all the scenarios considered, as well as the proposed scenario 7 for the elementary consolidation plan. The district responded to the requester on November 25th of 2025. The next Freedom of Information Act was dated November 28th of 2025 and was also submitted by Olivia Karstens, requesting overviews of scenarios 3, 4, and 5, comparable to the overviews for scenarios 1, 2, 6, and 7, published at www.harlem122.org. And the district denied the request on December 5th, 2025. And then the last FOIA request was requested on December 11th of 2025 and was submitted by O'Shea Smith from Sunlight Records, requesting an electronic summary of purchase orders from July 1st, 2025 through November 30th of 2025. And the district responded to the requester on December 11th, 2025 with the exclusive documents.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the personal agenda with no
Motion.
addendum?
Second.
Board Member Carlson.
Yes.
Board Member Johnson.
Aye.
Secretary Meeks. Aye. President Sterling.
Aye.
Vice President Thompson.
Aye.
Board Member McKnight.
Aye.
Board Member McKinney.
Aye.
Can I get a motion to approve student travel requests?
Motion?
Second. Board Member Johnson.
Aye.
Secretary Meeks. Aye. President Sterling.
Mike?
Aye.
Vice President Thompson.
Aye.
Board Member McKnight.
Aye.
Board Member McKinney.
Aye.
Board Member Carlson.
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve resolution declaring surplus property?
Motion.
Second.
Secretary Meeks. Aye. President Sterling.
Aye.
Vice President Thompson.
Aye.
Board Member McKnight.
Yes.
Board Member McKinney.
Aye.
Board Member Carlson.
Yes.
Board Member Johnson.
Aye.
Can I get a motion to approve the acceptance of the FY25 audit?
Motion.
Second.
President Sterling.
Aye.
Vice President Thompson.
Aye.
Board Member McKnight.
Aye.
Board Member McKinney.
Aye.
Board Member Carlson.
Yes.
Board Member Johnson.
Aye.
Secretary Meeks. Aye.
Can I get a motion to accept October treasurer's report?
Motion?
Second.
Vice President Thompson.
Aye.
Board Member McKnight.
Aye.
Board Member McKinney.
Aye.
Board Member Carlson.
Yes.
Board Member Johnson.
Aye.
Secretary Meeks. Aye. President Sterling.
Aye. Can I get a motion to approve the report on cash balance in relation to average expenditures?
Motion.
Second.
Board Member McKnight.
Aye.
Board Member McKinney.
Aye.
Board Member Carlson.
Yes.
Board Member Johnson.
Aye.
Secretary Meeks. Aye. President Sterling.
Aye.
Vice President Thompson.
Aye.
Can I get a motion to approve agreement with Lighthouse Speech Therapy to provide speech and language services at a cost of $115 per hour at 37.5 hours per week, not to exceed 13 weeks for a total cost of $56,062.50, paid with Idea Flow through Part B?
Motion.
Second?
Board Member McKinney.
Aye.
Board Member Carlson.
Yes.
Board Member Johnson.
Aye.
Secretary Meeks. Aye. President Sterling.
Aye.
Vice President Thompson.
Aye.
Board Member McKnight.
Aye.
Can I get a motion to approve an agreement with PD Monster to provide professional development on January 5th, 2026 for School Improvement Day and February 13th, 2026 for Teacher Institute Day for a cost of $6,300 paid with Idea Flow through Part B?
Motion.
Second.
Board Member Carlson.
Yes.
Board Member Johnson.
Aye.
Secretary Meeks. Aye. President Sterling.
Aye.
Vice President Thompson.
Aye.
Board Member McKnight.
Aye.
Board Member McKinney.
Aye.
Can I get a motion to approve an agreement with the Regional Office of Education for professional development workshops for teachers and administrators on Teacher Institute Day, February 13th, 2026, at a cost of $12,300 paid with Title II funds?
Motion?
Second.
President Sterling.
Aye.
Vice President Thompson.
Aye.
Board Member McKnight.
Aye.
Board Member McKinney.
Aye.
Board Member Carlson.
Yes.
Board Member Johnson.
Aye.
Secretary Meeks. Aye.
At this time, do you guys have any more announcements and discussion? Can I get a motion to go into executive session to discuss negotiations 5 ILCS 120-2C2?
Motion.
Second.
Vice President Thompson.
Aye.
Board Member McKnight.
Aye.
Board Member McKinney.
Aye.
Board Member Carlson.
Yes.
Board Member Johnson.
Aye.
Secretary Meeks. Aye. President Sterling.
Aye. 5 minutes?
Yeah,
Sure.
All right, please clear the room.
Thank